Group 3 had warming and earlier spring increase western U.S. forest wildfire activity. On this slide you can see our group members' names as well as our paper citation. Wildfires have been increasing in frequency in the western United States. These fires have negative effects on the ecosystem and they are also dangerous for the humans that live in the area. The question is, what is causing the increase in wildfires? The increase could be caused by land use, in which case the solution to the issue is very simple. However, if the fires are caused by climate change and the overall differences in the western U.S. climate, then the wildfires may be more difficult to slow down.
Let's discuss two competing explanations for wildfire activities and how they are linked. The first explanation involves land usage. While fire suppression efforts were active from the late 19th to early 20th century, more recently we've started to take a less active, if not reactive approach. This, combined with a yet-to-be-complete forest recovery from the usage, increases the likelihood of large surface fires. The other explanation for surging forest fires can be attributed to changes in climate. This encompasses anything from changes in moisture of soil all the way to drought frequency. However, both of which have a strong positive correlation to wildfire risk. On this slide, you can see an example of how changes in climate can affect the wildfire possibilities. Westernly 2006 also points out that research about this particular explanation past the 20th century is fairly limited. Even if these two theories have some overlap, you're right. While these two explanations might seem to trace their roots to different places, in the end, they mutually feed off of each other to increase the risk that we see today.
For the methods, we need to know what information needs to be used and how it's going to be analyzed. The information used in this research is a high-quality time series and detailed fire climate analysis. The time series was of a little over 1,000 large forest wildfires from the 70s to 2003. They compared these to corresponding hydroclimatic and land surface variables such as temperature and snowmelt. To analyze this information, they made comparisons between the annual frequency of wildfires and 3 different variables. The first being the mean temperature of the area, the second being the streamflow timing, which is affected by the snowmelt, which was also compared to their wildfire frequency. They also analyzed the annual time between first and last ignition and last fire control, which gives a better idea of how it's been occurring over the years and how drastic they are.
They also analyzed the vulnerability of the forest through the snowmelt and the average precipitation in the area.
So I'm going to be talking about the results for the graphs and figures in the article. So in figure 1, the negative sign of these correlations presented in the graphs indicate that earlier snowmelt dates correspond to increased wildfire frequency. Also in figure 1, we see the interannual variability in the arrival of spring snowmelt. An important factor to also see about figure 1 is that the change in mean for large forest fire frequencies after 1987 was very significant. So there was a signal that had the greatest impact on wildfire frequencies, and that was between the elevations of 1,680 meters and 2,590 meters, as we see in figure 2. Overall, 56% of wildfires and 72% of area burned occurred in early snowmelt years, while only 11% of wildfires and 4% of area burned occurred in late snowmelt years. In figure 3, it shows us how temperatures and summer drought affects flammability, while spring and summer temperatures correlate with reduced winter precipitation. Figure 3 also shows and proves that spring and summer temperatures were significantly higher in early years than in late years, and that increased with elevation. Overall, warm springs and longer summer dry seasons mean drier vegetation, which produces larger burns. Winter precipitation and early snowmelt increases wildfires and makes them stronger.
The implications of this study are unfortunate. Since the global warming is the main factor in this problem, ecological restoration and fuel management will not be effective solutions. It is predicted that by the end of the century, global surface temp will rise to a range of 1.5 to 5.8 degrees Celsius. Without this study, efforts could have been wasted on ineffective solutions. Now we know that the problem at hand is not a simple fix, which helps lead to the creation of new solutions, or at least brings the awareness to the issue.